Hey guys, in this video we're going to be doing a quick rundown of the Canon EOS M6, the Fuji X-E3, and the Sony a6300 to see which is the best camera for you. So this is going to be kind of a rundown based on features, based on dollar to value, based on a device versus system, the compatible lenses, and durability. So let's get into it. In terms of features, the Canon, the M6, has a flippy screen and dual pixel autofocus. It's really rather light on features. 1080p 60 to me does not count any longer as a feature. It has to be 120 like the Sony or 4K like the Sony and the Fuji in terms of video. It has a pretty decent burst rate, but again, doesn't really stand up to either of the two competitors. So in terms of features, Canon's kind of losing it on this one to begin with. The Fuji's got 4K 30, it's got film simulations, an AF joystick, focus peaking, the most amount of direct manual control options on any of these three cameras. You got a shutter speed dial, an exposure count dial, a dial on the front and on the back, as well as that AF joystick, and a touchscreen that works really well. You're also getting up to 14 frames per second. So this is a really awesome device based on the features. From the Sony, you're getting 4K 30, you're getting 1080p 120. Now, you are suffering a little bit of a lack of sharpness in there. It does kind of degrade a little bit if you push it, but hey, you get 120p, which is awesome. You get S-Log 2 and 3. You have 425 phase detect autofocus points on sensor, which is awesome. And while the Fuji's 91 have a much better AF algorithm, 425 is still very hard to beat. You get a tilting screen as opposed to the Fuji's fixed screen, and it's not as articulating as the Canon's completely 180 flipping screen, but it is tilting. That's awesome. Once you start using one of those, you'll be addicted to it. You get 11 FPS, and in my opinion, touch more ergonomic than the other two options because it has a little slightly better dedicated hand grip. Interesting note, both the Sony and the Fuji have 4K. The Sony's 4K rather is oversampled, whereas the Fuji's 4K is not. They use pixel binning, so the Sony's 4K is a better 4K. In terms of device versus system, as a standalone device, the Canon M6 is alright. As soon as you start looking into the system, breaks down quick. The lenses just aren't there to support it. The accessories just aren't there to support it. Kit lens, not the sharpest, not the fastest. Out of Fuji, the X-E3, probably the best standalone option, best kit lens options with the 18 to 55 f2.8 to 4 and 23 f2. It retains a surprising amount of the specialized features that we see on the a6300, where the a6300 has S-Log, the Fuji has film simulations, and those cannot be underrepresented. You're getting twice as many control points on the Fuji as you would the Sony, which in my opinion, fantastic. That AF joystick, again, I love it. The Sony has the most specialized features with 4K 30 that's oversampled, 1080p 120, S-Log 2 and 3, 11 FPS with autofocus tracking. That's awesome. The 14 on the Fuji does not include tracking, that's AF lock. So that's good. The a6300 really does stand head and shoulders above most of the competition. Kit lens in this comparison, second best to the Fuji options. But in my opinion, the system, the APS-C E-mount lenses out of Sony, not entirely worth investing in. Sigma has started to do a little bit more on the E-mount side, the APS-C E-mount side. They are making it worthwhile to get into this from a system perspective. Sony is not. Out of Canon, the lenses, awful. There are no real proper, sharp, fast primes. There's a 22 f2, but in my opinion, although pancake lenses are nifty, I'd rather have a slightly larger lens and an f1.8, f1.4, and have, a 24, 50, or 24, 35, 50, 85 equivalent lenses as primes at f1.8 or faster. And the zooms are all variable aperture, they're no good, skip them. Out of Fuji, the lenses are fantastic. They're almost all perfectly sharp across the frame. There's a suite of superb primes and constant aperture zooms from starting at f2.8. pretty soon, once it gets, released, it's already been announced, it's on Fuji's roadmap, there's an 8 to 16, which will be 12 to 24 at f2.8, but for now, there's 24 to 200 equivalent at f2.8, and there's a 16 to 35 equivalent at 10 to 18, 10 to 20, whatever it is, at f4. So pretty soon you'll be able to have from 12 to 200 at f2.8. That's a big deal. The primes, superb, professional, weather resistant. A lot of the zooms, weather resistant as well. Awesome. Hey y'all, quick aside, I'd love it if y'all would check out the gear that I use through the Amazon affiliate links below. And if you're gonna use Amazon for any Christmas shopping, I would really appreciate it if y'all would do that through those links. That will only kick back a small fee to me and will not charge you anymore. That would mean the absolute world to me. So thank you very much. Let's get back to the video. Out of Sony, the lenses aren't really that great. There's options like the 16 and 24 at f2.8. There's the 35 f1.8, 50 f1.8 that are but then you get into the zooms and they're either variable aperture or constant f4s. Not really worth it to me. Like I said a minute ago, the Sigma contemporary lenses that we're seeing come out now, the 30 f1.4, that's, as far as I'm aware, as much as I've seen, the sharpest E-mount APS-C lens that we've seen so far. The 16 f1.4 from Sigma Contemporary coming out soon, just got announced. That's going to be fantastic. They've also announced that there's going to be another lens in that contemporary E-mount line that will be right under 60 mil, probably a 50 mil for portraiture at f1.4. That's also going to kill it. So I'm really excited for what Sigma's doing for the lenses, but Sony really dropping the ball in terms of lenses. So if you really like first-party manufacturer lenses on your camera body, maybe skip the Alpha6300. If you're okay with third-party options, look to the Sigmas first. With durability, the Canon has some, but it's nowhere near the Alpha6300 and the X-E3. The X-E3 and the Alpha6300 are both weather sealed. I would trust, however, the weather sealing on the X-E3 more than the Sony, because the Alpha6300 E-mount lenses in general, APS-C E-mount lenses in general, don't have weather sealing. Weather sealing is between the body and the lens, not just the body. You're not going to live with an O-ringed body cap on the camera all the time. There's going to be a lens on it most of the time. The two work together. Most of Fuji's lenses are weather resistant. Almost none of Sony's E-mount APS-C lenses are. In terms of value for dollar, the Canon actually has loads to offer. If you want to put one of the pancake lenses like the 22 f2 on it, put it in a pocket, fantastic. The 35 f2.8 I've heard is fantastic. You're gonna be able to get all the images you want out of the M6. It will perform, it will give you good color rendition, it will do well. The selfie flip-up screen will be nice to have for a lot of situations. I don't think, though, that it will be the best value for money out of this group. The Fuji has buckets of value for dollar. It's the smallest, cheapest, full-featured professional Fuji option that we've seen so far, with the most dedicated control surfaces out of these three. It's a superb option. By the way, I'm including the M6 in this because although it's like $100 cheaper or whatever, 100 and ever how many, at the time of this recording, if you add the electronic viewfinder, they all kind of turn into a very similar looking, similar priced camera bodies. Back to the Fuji though. The Fuji will likely have a very high ceiling. Your skill will grow within it as opposed to being limited by it. Same with the Sony. I think the Canons, you will be limited by it before you would be on the Sony and the Fuji. In terms of value for dollar, the Sony's got loads. You can use it feasibly as a B camera for, if you're a wedding videographer, if you're shooting 1080, if you're shooting even 4K, post firmware update, you're not going to overheat quite as easily. So that's a huge deal. This camera's video performance, the Alpha6300's video performance, is at times on par or better than its bigger brothers, the FS5 and the FS7. That's a big deal. In terms of stills performance, the Alpha6300 is far superior to its more traditional DSLR cousins in terms of dynamic range, high ISO performance, and frame rate. However, it is showing signs of age, and the X-E3 is the indicator of the Alpha-6300's age. So if you want a fantastic camera, all three are great options. If it were me, again, I have an Alpha-6300. If it were me doing it over again, I'd either go with the Fuji for the AF joystick because I love AF joysticks. I think those are superb. Or I'd stick with the Alpha-6300 because of the Sigma lenses, Sigma contemporary lenses, and I love those. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.